A young girl of 5 would always wake up to the gentle whispers of the cool breeze that caressed the mountain ranges in the Western Ghats. She would open her eyes to the mist-clad greenery, allowing rays of sunshine to sneak in and brighten the beautiful anthurium gardens that adorned her front yard. Her travel to school was a journey of hours, not because of the traffic, but the hilly terrain that the bus engined up regularly. For the nearby township was not very close. Her childhood is never complete without the extra stock of stationeries that were stocked up at home, and the value of carefully utilizing resources was always taught. For however shy she was, when asked her name, she clearly answered, "I am Hema M.A., to which the immediate query would be, what does M and A stand for? To this, she proudly responded, "I am Mandapanda Hema Appachu," where Mandapanda represents my family name and A, Appachu, stands for my father's name. With every resounding answer, little did she know that each of these experiences, along with her treasure of childhood memories, would give her an identity. This term identity has always intrigued me for reasons I'm still exploring. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years, as I grew up from that 5-year-old little self to stand before you today as an assistant professor of psychology, an educator, and a psychologist, these experiences so far have indeed shaped my conception of myself and the understanding of the various factors that have made my becoming. Since the time I have been introduced to this term formally through the formative years of my college education, it never seems to have left me. It followed me and my thoughts through my doctoral work, which actually made me ponder and question as to what forms my identity. As an answer to that question, starting from my name, there is so much of allegiance towards the community that I belong to. For this community-specific name relates me to 5 lakh other brethren who draw their connections from the commonness of being a Kodava or a Kodavati from the land of Kodagu, also called as Coorg, the smallest district in the map of Karnataka state of India. And in this place are the people, culture, traditions, rituals, customs, history, and much more that gives me a sense of belongingness. It is the truth, with substantial research evidence, that belongingness to identity-based communities protect these individuals from the negative impact of minority stressors, therefore enabling them to have a positive mental health. At the same time, when my social identity is questioned or ignored, or when comes a time when we as a community have to fight for recognition of our existence, then it undoubtedly has a poor impact on our mental health. And it is during such times that deliberations like the one we are having right now becomes imperative and relevant, especially when we travel away from our native places and homelands. When we are tested by circumstances to explore ourselves in transcultural contexts, where each move, every action speaks volumes of who I am and where I come from. On that note, getting to know all of you a little more, I would like to hear a double clap if any time in your lives you have lived in a place away from your native places for purposes of, let's say, education or work or any other calling. Double clap if you have craved for food from your traditional cuisine, to attend ceremonies and rituals in your traditional attire, and moreover, to cuddle in the warmth of your loved ones back home. Double clap if each of these struggles have helped you explore a new version of yourself. Well, that makes a lot of us sailing on the same boat as me, trying to explore the paradox of our intersectional identity. On that note, can we have a huge round of applause for us, for who we are and what we have become with time. Thank you. I believe in each of these experiences that we have recollected together, there are many instances where we connect to when we have been posed by questions like, who has the power? Who gets the benefit of the doubt? Who doesn't? Who is automatically included in groups? Who isn't? What parts of my identity make me fit in? And what parts of my identity make me stand out? In an attempt to answer these questions, I put forth the idea of recognizing intersectionality in who we are, what we have become, and are becoming. Intersectionality is a perspective that celebrates diverse experiences, accommodates the lived experiences of ourselves and others in the larger context of power, privilege, oppression, and marginalization. And hence, I put forth and propose the usage of this term intersectionality to understand identity processes and content situated in the larger context of history and contemporary times of poor representation of indigenous communities in India. Belonging to one such indigenous community, as I review my identity of being a Kodava through an intersectional lens, there is a different color that dawns every shade of my experience. Taking pride in the rich history of thriving in colonial rule, saving from the attack of nearby powerful kings, recognized in the armed forces for recognition and exhibition of valor and courage. 2, losing our statehood to be merged with the larger state, fighting for our rights to be recognized on different parameters, yearning to be listened to and represented, and above all, determined to maintain a legacy of legendary services. Yes, I stand before you today as a proud Kodava who wants to be heard. When I identify myself with Coorg in Karnataka, I represent the scenic beauty of the place bestowed by its flora and fauna, and also the tourist destination that it has popularly become over the years. At the same time, I also speak for the global climatic changes that have been impacting this place, the necessities that drive its people to change from their primary occupation of agriculture, to move away from this place because of the ill effects of tourism suffered and the lurking threat that it faces with every rainfall. From the richness of coffee berries, to beaded pepper wines, to aromatic cardamom, to the tensed faces caused by labor shortage, disguised unemployment, and the unpredictable market trends which together influence the collective identity of ours in the future. Yes, I stand before you as a proud Kodava who wants to be included. Royalty in attire, symphony in linguistic prowess, richness in literary and cultural diversity, and culinary variety. While all this celebrates the Kodavaness in us, the fear of modernization masking the drapes of our clothing, the anxiety of linguistic erosion, the dying literary and art forms waiting to be conserved, and every whistle of steam blown, looking for preservation of culinary taste and techniques. Yes, I stand before you as a proud Kodava who wants to feel connected. As the Sanskrit verses read, Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati, Narmade Sindhu Kaveri. Narmade Sindhu Kaveri, Jalesmin Sannidhim Kuru. Kodagu being the birthplace of river Kaveri. This land has given the country its first commander-in-chief of independent India in the form of Field Marshal K.M. Karyappa, the first female Indian Foreign Service officer in the form of Chonira Muttama, which speaks volumes of gender equality. However diverse we may be based on our family names, the Manipeda, we are definitely unified in spirit, encouraging aspirations and striving to achieve greater goals. Though this place is unfortunately becoming an old people's paradise today, fixed in a tussle, wanting to have its youngsters back home, yet the elders believe in the potential and realize the support that they need to provide for the youngsters to achieve their aspirations. To give them wings to fly high to achieve their dreams and not be curbed by the structural limitations pressing down this indigenous community. While these are snippets of shared identity, certain elements which give me my social identity, I stand today to represent not only the mere few lakh Kodavas living in Kodagu, a few distributed around the country, and a few more spread across the world. I do speak for all those indigenous communities and ethnic minorities who are facing the common threat and fears of finding an inclusive environment, not just to survive, but to pass on the baton to the generations to come. However, the larger question is, where do I or we stand today? Several of us, unfortunately, stand at crossroads in terms of feeling included, belonged, heard, represented, and connected. As an answer to find inclusion, I put forth the idea of understanding intersectionality in who we are, what we have become, and are becoming. Extending this concept from the study of oppressed and marginalized to introduce it in plain and simple terms as to support a fellow human being. While this understanding of intersectionality helps us explore the places that we occupy as a function of our unique personal and social configurations, intersectional research has to confront the vestiges of colonialism, which often views indigenous communities and ethnic minorities from a deficit lens, thus encouraging decolonization in thoughts, perspectives, and ideas. There is a need to call for an acknowledgement and accommodation of diverse intersectional experiences, as these describe the similarities and differences, thereby providing a roadmap for presenting a unified front of multiple similar communities. These discussions and actions of intersectional identities would definitely enhance social adjustment, well-being, and provide improved mental health. And moreover, such deliberations are significant at every stage of development, as the perceptions of an individual's typicality in social categories when interspersed with their peer experiences would definitely influence the lived stories of how we feel belonged, connected, and represented in the larger system. Today, after more than 2 decades, whenever I have a conversation with the 5-year-old little me, I see that the innocence in her, the gleam in her eyes, eagerly wait to celebrate her identity, having a lot of faith in her belief that she will be living in a society that is inclusive one day. She still continues to wish and pray that we, the Kodavas, who perceive nature and our ancestral spirits as our guiding forces, would continue with the same reverence for generations to come. And Kodavame, which is the way of life practiced by the people residing in Kodagu, would live long with glory. And finally, as the little me and the adult me hold hands, hoping for an inclusive and brighter tomorrow, both of us would wish to sign off to a core memory that we heartily cherish. A song sung by my father while tucking the little me to bed every night, the Balo Pata, a fond pic paying homage to our tradition of oral narratives. O Balo, Balo, Nangada, Patto Balo, Asuriya, Deva Balo, Amadeva, Devi Balo, Amadevi, Kan